Okay, we're back with today's mess. It's Sunday, I think the 29th or 30th of February 2026. I did a little bit off camera because some of it's boring, but I'll show you the results here. We got the shifter on, not a big deal. Put foot pegs in place of the floorboards because I already had them. It's a lot cheaper. Got the coils mounted, made that bracket. So one of the wires is a bit short, so I'll be taking care of that. There's a splice kit you can get. They're kind of expensive, but it's better than replacing everything. But all the other ones are good. You actually have to cut them down, make them shorter. Controls, just some eBay controls, not too bad. Got the brake line on. And we're going to be bleeding these brakes today. I'll show you how to do it with a hydraulic one. And so we don't trip and fall here. We have the wires are all routed up. Kind of tucked them back underneath there. The vent line for the heads right there going into the crankcase. And there it is. All the oil lines are buttoned up. Got the seat spring pegs in place. I'll be putting a bigger washer on here so the springs don't sit there and tear that up. Got this area cleaned up. These are actually brake lights. They run, and then when you hit the brake, they flash, and then they stay on. I did take the rear caliper back off because it was silver. It didn't match the front. So I'll be putting the pads in there and bleeding that. Got all the parts laid out. The pins are greased. New pads, everything's ready to go. So we did a bit. Like I said, I didn't want to film some things because it's just boring to watch me sit here and try to figure it out. That's still a mess, but it's really not as bad as it looks. I got a lot of it identified and hooked up. There's our side mounts that we make here. It's very simple. It's just an L bracket that we make and bend here. So really, there we go. Really not that difficult. I use star washers in there so it don't tilt back and forth. And they're tough. They work. Probably made about 10 of them. They're all still on there as far as I know. And so that's where we're at today. We already went over how getting things lined up and stuff like that. So let me put this back on the tripod and I will show you how to use this hydraulic brake fluid bleeder. It's like way cool. Ever since I started using them, it's the only way to do it. So hang tight. So how this works is it's gonna pull the brake fluid through the caliper instead of you standing up there pumping that lever about 100 times to not get pressure. They're real basic kits. They're on eBay, probably Amazon. Get a good one because you'll appreciate it more. Basically, you hook the hose up to the pump, put the bottle in the middle. It tells you right on top to pump, to brake, and then hook this end up to the nipple right there. Then we start pumping it, and it'll start pulling the brake fluid down the line and right out of the master cylinder here. But as you're doing that, you want to stand over it and watch it because you don't want to be pulling the fluid down through the caliper and run this out because then you're just going to put all that air right back in there. So, show you how to do it. So it is best, before I forget, put your wrench on first, then put the hose on. And leave yourself enough swing room here. I've already checked it, I have enough. So, as you'll see, let me show you. Okay. I'll go ahead and open this up a little bit. Takes about an eighth to a quarter of a turn. You don't have to open it. Take my cover off. Make sure you're using the right fluid. So I got this open. So as I'm pumping this, I'm going to watch my fluid, and I don't want it to run out. Okay, right now it's just pulling air out. There's no fluid in there. Okay, we're starting to get a little bit down here. So I want to close this right now. I don't know if you can see it, but there's bubbles coming up right now. So just let them come up. Okay, so I closed that. I got fluid about here right now. So I'm going to pump it up here, still watching the level. And you should see like bubbles or foam coming up through the top. See, as I'm pumping that, with the bleed screw at the bottom is closed. So I'm still just pushing air out of there. I'll do this process probably 2 times. Not usually 3, but, and don't do it too fast. Now I'm going to fill it up again and crack the bottom loose, and I'm going to pull a bunch of air out of that way too. This is what you'll see. So a few more times of this isn't going to hurt. I'm not even doing anything in the air. It's just coming out, which is good. this 2 or 3 times slowly. I'm going to hold it. This is closed, so now I'm going to open it. The lever's going to go in. There might be some more air come out. There'll definitely be fluid. We should be about done. Okay, that's tight. Some fluid came out. The lever went to the bar like it should have. Pump it 2 or 3 times slow. Yeah, we already have pressure. Okay, my fluid level is good. My clean gasket on. Cap. We'll put the screws in, take this stuff off, and we're done. So we're going to do the same to the back in a minute. Okay, to do this, it's best to remove the caliper. You have a lot more room to work with. So what I did is slide the pin through the pads, and with this shim in this direction and the arrow facing down, you kind of lay it there and get it under this pin and push it into the other side. And spread the pads apart. Hold that shim, do the same thing. Get it under there, right into the other side. Now our holes are lined up here, so we can put our clips through and bolt it back on. Let's get the clips. Let's push in like so. And there we go. So we're going to leave this loose because we're going to do the same thing we just did on the front. Get her. Now I won't sit there and crank on that like most people will, just because you're holding a drill, but this is a lot better because I know what it's going to feel like. So that's the breakdown there of your rear brake. So that's the shim we just put in. That was the pins, the little baling clips, and your bleeder screw. So we'll just push our little cover on now and bleed the brakes. Alright, now that our brakes are done, tested, everything's good, they move freely. When you hit them, they work. I'm going to go ahead and do the exhaust right now. What you want to do, you want to take these old gaskets out. You'll be able to see the difference between a new one and an old one. So place your new ones in, push them in. There's not an up or down, or left or right, in or out. They just go in. Then go ahead and take our rear pipe. I'm fortunate because this fabric's holding this still for me, so I don't have to fight it too much. I'm gonna put the rear mounting bolts in it. I'm using bigger washers because I don't like this bracket very much. now I'll grab one of the bolts. I'll slide it into the back of the channel here with one of the small washers on the inside. Nope, it won't do that. So you gotta just put the bolt head in. Go ahead and take that small washer off. So go ahead and we'll slide this in here. I left it loose, so got a little wiggle room. And pull this out a little bit and get that washer behind that. There's a little channel there. So I have that in. I'm gonna go ahead and line up the front manifold, flange bolts rather. Okay, that's in, that's in. We're not laying all up against anything, so that's good. You want to make sure your pipe's in, all the way in the engine, not kind of in. And what I like to do, because these bolts always rust, put a little WD-40 on them. It's easier to use the brush. That way you're not spraying the whole bike. And put your nuts back on. I'll do this till it's just snug, a little about hand tight. And that way I make sure all this back gets lined up. You want to do it evenly. You want to push the pipe into it, not like cock one side in and try to tighten the other side down and sit there and destroy your new gasket. So they're just barely tight. So now I know this is where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to do the front, do the exact same thing, get all that lined up, then I can start tightening. I like to tighten the motor first and then the brackets. That way I know this pipe's all the way inside there. This in. I don't know what kind of pipes these are, so I can't give too much advice on them. Generally, they're Cobras, but some days you just never know. You may find out someone made them later. Okay, that's all the way snug in the head, in the hole, right where it should be. No WD-40. And this stuff was all rusted, so I already cleaned it and wire welded a bit. Like I said, there's some things I just don't think are worth filming because it's kind of common knowledge. So, but if you have questions, ask them. I do my best to get back quickly. And you don't have to buy a bike we made. You can bring yours. If you got something, you have some ideas, bring it on in. And we will talk to you about it. Okay, so all this is good. Okay, now we can start tightening it down. So I'll snug the heads up just a little bit more. And they're not, by no means are these tight and ready to go. They're just barely snug. Because I still might need to wiggle them around a bit. Okay, so those are fairly tight, snug, so you can still move it a bit. So now I'm going to tighten the bracket to the frame, and then we'll tighten the pipes to the bracket. Okay, I got all this tight to the frame. I got the pipes tight to the bracket. So let's snug these up a little bit more. The exhaust is done. Good. And we got brakes. Okay, with the brakes and the exhaust all wrapped up, during the week I made the mounting holes for the gas tank, and then I put these here for the seat. They're just 7/16. I use big fender washers here so the springs don't sit there and gouge all that up. So the bracket, this is the bracket that comes with most seats, and what I did is I put another bracket across the existing frame brackets, drilled a hole in the middle, mounted that to there, and then that's where the front of the seat will mount. So I'll show you in just a moment, but for now we're just gonna have to dive back into this mess and make sense of it all. So just real quick, that's how it hinges. And then when you come back, the seats will sit on those little studs there, and you get that effect. Those are 2-inch springs, not the 3-inch, and it don't look too bad. It feels all right. So it'll look a little better once everything gets put back together. I usually make leather tops for there, and it'll cover it all. So it's the same Sunday, March 1st, not February 29th. So anyway, did the exhaust and things this morning, bled the brakes. So I pretty much spent the rest of the day figuring out what goes where. So believe it or not, that'll be an organized mess pretty soon. Everything's got a home, every wire's got somewhere to be, and that's about it for right now. But there's the license plate. So we're getting closer. Stay tuned. It's only going to get better. So, and there's more bikes to come. Like I said, you can bring us yours. You don't have to buy one of ours. So, there we go.